Welcome, everyone. We're grateful you're able to attend. Talks at Google, in partnership with GPAUSE, are very pleased to have Agapi Stassinopoulos here today. Agapi is a best-selling author and speaker who inspires audiences around the world. Born and raised in Athens, Greece, Agapi was trained in London at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and then moved on to receive her master's degree in psychology from the University of Santa Monica. She splits her time between New York and Los Angeles, conducting workshops for Thrive Global, a company founded by her sister Arianna Huffington to help change the way that we work and live. Her latest book, which she'll discuss today, is Wake Up to the Joy of You, pictured here, 52 Meditations and Practices for a Calmer, Happier Life. With warmth and wisdom from a lifetime of spiritual seeking, Agapi guides you through 52 weeks of letting go of what doesn't work for you and finding what does. So please be sure to pick up a copy of the book from the back. Also, if you want to learn more, you can go to wakeuptothejoyofyou.com, or you can find Agapi on Instagram at Agapi Sees, S-E-E-S, and at Facebook with her name. So, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Agapi Stassinopoulos.
Well, hi there, everybody. How is everybody doing today? Pretty good? I just love this idea of eating and talking. It's a very Greek tradition. You know, we're always eating. I don't know if any of you have been to Greece. And feel free to move closer if you would like. I'd like to be able to see you all. And I'm so thrilled to be here in New York City, speaking to you about one of my favorite subjects in the world, which is joy, happiness, and calmness. So wanted to ask you if anybody here would like to experience more joy in their lives. How about calmness? How about happiness? All right, so what about a little more fulfillment? Creativity? How about a feeling of feeling that everything is okay? Yes, me too. So one of the best things to start with all this and to get more into our own zone of calm and happiness, I have found, is dancing. So I would like to all stand up for a minute. You can put your foot on the side and join me in just moving our bodies to one of my favorite songs by Pharrell, called, everybody, Happy. Okay, Greg, hit it. And basically, you can actually pick up someone and dance with them if you like. You can move your shoulders. You can move your hips. Nicole, where are you? Nicole said to me, you can always dance alone. You can clap, and then you can turn to somebody, and you can actually do that. My goodness, Googlers are shy. Nobody's dancing with anybody. I like this is the country western way of moving. And you can move hands. I'm happy and alone if you feel a room without a view. Nicole is doing great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Have you found that when you move, you actually start to feel better? And have you found that when you actually breathe deeply, you start to feel better? And when you agree, you can actually raise your hand. Because part of the amazing thing is, as human beings, is I have discovered that what gets us really stuck is we stay stuck in our heads. And in this book, one of the chapters, chapter 3, is called Making Your Health a Priority. And I have about 3 pages about facts about the body. And one of the things that we talk a lot about is that we have about 70,000 thoughts a day, and about 70% of the thoughts are negative. So what causes us to feel stressed is not so much what we do, but pretty much how we think about what we do and what we think of ourselves while we're doing it. So in my journey, or when I started, from Greece, and I went to London, and I started acting, and went to Los Angeles to do a movie that didn't work out, I started to discover that my path was very much about connecting more deeply and getting to know about myself. So everything that happened in my life, and everything especially that didn't happen, led me to find more deep connection to Agapi, and to find out who I was and what it was about. So when I wrote this book about 2 months ago, it was like a whole collection of all the things I learned in my life, and especially the things that we call hard in our lives. Has anybody here ever gotten everything they want? See? Not me either. Has anybody here ever gotten things that they really went after, but they didn't happen? Could be relationships, could be work, could be that we want more money, could be that we want greater position, could be that we want greater things in our lives in terms of creativity, but they don't actually happen. And what we mostly do when that happens is we start to make judgments about ourselves, and we start to feel that there is something wrong with us. And we as human beings have this tendency that I found as I was traveling around the country, and I spoke to thousands of people for my previous book, Unbinding the Heart, that there was a universal theme of human nature, and their theme was that there was a fundamental feeling of lack, a fundamental feeling that we were lacking something, that we didn't have it all together. Well, no one out there has it all together, and that we were judging our journey as we were taking our journey. We were judging the things that didn't happen to us. People were actually feeling a sense that they wanted to be more fulfilled, that they wanted a more calm, they wanted a greater happiness. And part of it was that people were not really giving themselves the opportunity to discover more about the times in your life where you stop and you pause and you get to really find out a little more about what you are about. So a lot of things that happened in my life were very disappointing. Like my career never happened. Has anybody ever had disappointments in their lives? And that disappointments were things that I felt, well, would I ever find my own expression? Would I ever find what I was meant to do? And the disappointment was worse because I made myself wrong, and I judged myself for the things that were not happening. So the feeling of lacking, of not feeling enough, and I wrote in this book a whole chapter that's called Enough of Not Feeling Enough. And basically, we feel we're not enough when we don't get the things we want in our lives. So I wanted to dispel that myth and really start to look at ourselves from a place of we are like a masterpiece at the same time as a work in progress. And that life sort of goes on from day to day, but we stop connecting with the things that bring us joy. So in my whole path and evolution of how I discovered things was that fundamentally I had to stop judging myself for all the things I wasn't getting and really realize what was the thing that I needed to take care of myself. And taking care of myself meant returning to the source of my own connection with something that was bigger than myself. Dispelling the myth that there is something wrong with us is something that we must all do, because we have 37.2 trillion cells in our body making life for us right now. Can everybody just say that? 37.2 trillion cells. 37.2 trillion cells. Can you say that? Can you say it a little louder?
37.2 trillion cells.
And can you possibly imagine that these cells are making life right now, making us, cells are dying, cells are being reborn, cells are creating, and life is happening despite of ourselves? Isn't that an amazing phenomenon to realize that there is a life force, and the life force is really breathing us? And our very breath is the portal to a bigger thing than who we think we are. Our very breath is the breath of life. So I discovered little by little, Nicole was here hosting me today, was welcoming me, said to me, how long have you been meditating? How many people here meditate? That's so great. And how many people would like to learn how to meditate? So again, dispelling the myth of meditation, that meditation is hard, I realized that I started meditating when I was 12 years old. My mother taught me, and my sister Arianna, how to meditate and to do yoga. But of course, you know, when you're 12 years old, you don't really want to meditate. You just want to have fun with the boys. And really, you want to have fun in life. So I stopped meditating, and then I discovered that what I really wanted to do is just dance and sing and act. But later in my life, when I was getting very stressed, when I was in Los Angeles trying for my acting career, I rediscovered meditation. And what it started to do for me is take me deeper to myself. So meditation was a practice that took me out of my own negative thinking of myself and started to connect me with a part of myself that is real and alive, and it is the spirit in me. And that spirit was kind of waiting for me to connect with myself in a deeper way. With everything else in life, you know, it's practice, it's microscopic steps every day. And doing something every day started to change me. I started to realize that the most important thing was to make something like my practices, but to also bring my joy in them. That if I was doing it without my own heart, and you know, there's so much talk now about mindfulness, but I realized that what I had to do more than anything is open up my heart to my own self. And to do that, which I call the art of loving yourself, had to do with a deeper acceptance of myself, deeper acceptance of all the things I thought I couldn't do, that I was not good enough, that I was inadequate. And then as I started to open up to a compassion and a love for myself, a forgiveness of myself, an appreciation of who I was, everything started to flourish. It was absolutely amazing that really we hold the treasure of who we are in our very hands. But we have to back away and disconnect from the world to connect back to who we think we have inside. And the way we start to do that is by a certain reverence and gratitude. Have you ever realized that if we lived in gratitude, our whole life will be transformed? I want to ask you if you have ever felt something where you were doing something and you were taking yourself for granted. How many people here take themselves for granted? Or life, or everything around us? Have you ever had an experience where you were like shook and you said, oh my God, if this goes well, I will never again take anything for granted, right? And then you go back and you take something for granted. And it could be like we are stuck on the subway and you don't know what's going to happen. And you are stuck on the subway, like it's happened to me where, you know, I would be stuck like for an hour and you can hardly breathe. And you say, whenever this subway now gets back to its destination, I will never complain about anything. Did it ever happen to you? And then what happens to us? We go back and we complain about everything. Well, in this book, I wrote a chapter called Gratitude, Reverence, and Oh My God. And it was really about being taught from life itself about gratitude, because life has a way of really humbling us and making us understand that there is something bigger than ourselves. So one day I was going to Montana to speak, and there was a snowstorm in New York. And while I was going to the airport, I arrived there and I realized that my plane was canceled. So I had to go back to New York and leave the next morning at 5 a.m. And then arrived in Montana. It was a very hard trip. I was speaking to a lot of hospital practitioners and patients, and it was just intense. And on my way back, I stopped in Salt Lake City, and we arrived there only to find out that the plane was canceled, and that we had to get back to sleep in Salt Lake City, and then the next day to leave again at 5 a.m. Well, I arrived there, and I was absolutely bitching. And I said, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is so hard. This has been a horrible trip. And I was complaining. And suddenly, has anybody ever done that? When you just kind of, you feel like life is tragic at that moment. And like it's a catastrophic thinking, right? It's like things couldn't be worse. And there is zero gratitude in you. And I heard this voice inside that said, start thanking everything. And I looked around, and there was no one around except me, really telling myself, start thanking everything. And so I started to thank, first of all, that the plane landed. And then I started to thank that I had a chair to sit on, and I had a credit card, and I could go to a hotel, and that I have a phone, a cell phone that was working. And then I started to thank the fact that I had a family that I loved, that I could call. And one thing after another, within 3 minutes, a friend of mine called me and said, where are you? And I said, I'm in Salt Lake City. My flight has been canceled. And he said, oh, that's so funny, because I'm coming to Salt Lake City tonight at midnight, and I have a suite at the hotel. I'm speaking there. Why don't you go stay there? You can stay in the big room, in the bed. I'll sleep on the couch, and tomorrow I'll take you to the airport. It was amazing. And that's exactly what I did. I went to the hotel. I stayed in the big king-size bed. I ordered room service. I watched TV. I had a fantastic night. At 5 a.m., my friend woke me up. He drove me to the airport, and I got on that flight, and I was so grateful. I was grateful for the cold coffee that was lousy. I was grateful for the stewardesses who were not particularly nice. I was grateful for everything. And this gratitude changed that moment. I remember changed my life, and I have that story in the book. And from then on, I said, what would life be like if I lived life as a thank you? If I lived every day as a thank you? And I want to challenge you. I want to sort of call you to action and say, would you take a day? Would you take a day and think of nothing else but just thank you? Thank you for everything. So I'm just going to go around the room now and just say one thing you're thankful for.
The fantastic brownie I just ate.
Fantastic brownie. I want one of those brownies. I'm going to have one afterwards. The work environment here, yes. Thursday? Thursday, I love it. Being healthy. Boy, the best, the best. Family, yes. Living in New York, yes, me too. Yoga, yes.
Well, you just said it, living in New York, so I'll say living in America.
Living in America, yes, yes, me too.
Having the greatest daughter ever.
The greatest what?
Daughter.
The greatest daughter. Oh, how old is your daughter?
2.
2? Amazing. God bless her.
Indoor plumbing.
Indoor plumbing. Oh, I had this experience yesterday, and I said our shower wasn't working, and then they made it work, and we had hot water, and I said I'm thankful for hot water and shower pressure. That was the other thing. Friends. Friends. And you? Somebody there? You behind it? You? Yes.
I was going to say indoor plumbing.
You said indoor plumbing, yes.
I think maybe the ability to run.
Ability to run, yes. Internet.
The opportunity to come to talks like this.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Ibuprofen. Then we have the lady behind. What did you say? I didn't hear. Light? Yes.
I was actually the same as him. I'm just really happy that we have these opportunities here. People like you come in, speak things that you're passionate about.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, anybody?
Public transportation.
Yes, thank you. Health? Family? What? Movement, yes. Chris?
Oh, I said, yeah, the opportunity to come to these.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for my kids.
Your kids? Bridget?
My sister.
Your sister?
Food to eat.
Food to eat? Thank you. Yes, me too. I'm grateful for my sister too as well. So I started to think about how our brain can actually change and we can train our brain, because so much of our stress comes from the mind and the brain and the emotional state. And I started to think how if I changed my thoughts and if I changed it into gratitude, and every night, I want to really encourage you, for those of you who write on the journal. I saw Chris has a beautiful notebook and a pen, and he says, I like to take time out of my computer. And I love to take out of my computer and my phones. And I find that when I disconnect and I go into my journal and I just write things down, I start to connect more deeply with myself, my emotional life. Poems have come out of me. This whole book came out of reflection and disconnecting from the world to connect back to me and to something that is much more bigger than who we are, and taking time out of what limits me to the part of me that is unlimited. And as I write, I start to experience that other creative energy that we all have. There's a chapter in the book where I call a lot about how to tap into your creativity, because people sometimes think, well, I'm not creative. I'm not creative like Mozart or Ernest Hemingway or Picasso or the, Baryshnikov or the great dancers, and I can't sing like Adele. Well, who can? But we can all sing in the shower. I think Craig was there, and I said, do you dance? And he said, well, I dance when I'm by myself because I don't, like to be seen. But it's like when we actually stop ourselves and say, well, creativity is inherited in all of us. And we can be creative if we remember when we were little kids and we were all creative. And that creativity is really in us. And each person, no matter how busy we are, we can all tap into our own creativity. It's how we do things. How do we bring back the joy? So how we wake up to the joy is by giving ourselves permission to get out of our own stuff, to get back to the part of us that really knows how to do our lives in a calmer, happier, more joyful way. Taking time out every day to be present with yourself, because all of us get from one thing to the other, and we got to do, the deadlines. And taking time to teach ourselves and retrain is like going to the gym where you actually start to train your muscles. I mean, none of us go to the gym once and build biceps. It's sort of like over and over again. And that discipline, that devotion, and that discernment of what is more important for us daily is where I think distinguishes a human being from being a happier, more fulfilled human being. A human being that includes themselves in their lives, includes their emotional life, and connects with themselves. And then you become more awake in who you are. And the other habit is the habit that really can take you down. And each day is a choice. How do we choose to really be more present? And how do you choose to be more heartfelt? Because ultimately, if you ask me, Agapi, what is the secret to happiness? I would say the secret to happiness is keeping your heart open. When our hearts are open, how many of you have felt when your heart is open, like the gentleman who said, my little girl, who is 2 years old? I mean, that's already, you feel the openness of his heart as he talks about his daughter. But imagine being like that throughout the day when he's with his employees, and when he is with colleagues, when he is with his friends, and when he is with himself. So how do we bridge the separation between our heart and ourselves? And that's part of when we do a little guided meditation afterwards, that's what I would love to teach you all, is how do you get back to being your bestest friend, your kindest, most loving friend. There is an expression that I love that says, treat yourself as if you were someone inexpressively dear to you. Treat yourself as if you were inexpressively dear to you. Treat yourself like you really, really would treat someone you really, really loved. And then something happens in the world where our magic starts to happen, where we don't start to disconnect from ourselves, because what really stresses us is living a disconnected life. And I'm sure all of you here have felt this incredible surge when we have a connection with an idea, with another human being, with our colleagues, with work, where you feel suddenly connected. Isn't that the most wonderful feeling? But it takes energy, it takes consciousness, it takes not being on autopilot. Because when we are on autopilot, we go on automatic. And life doesn't happen when we're on automatic. Life happens when we're actually wake ourselves up. And it's really waking up to our joy. But how do you wake up to your joy? You also have to admit the lesser feelings, the feelings that we have that we call negative, so that when you're feeling disconnected, separate, upset, sad, rejected, angry, people who feel tremendous loss, if we numb ourselves to those feelings, we're going to numb ourselves to our joy. So in Greece, I don't know how many of you have been there, but I want to tell you, in our vocabulary, we don't have the word fine. When you ask somebody, how are you? They say, I'm really upset today. Why are you upset? Well, because this person didn't do what I asked them to do. Or because my boyfriend came up too late at night. And then you say, he did? You say, yes, he did. Well, he said, well, let's go kill the bastard. Because, you know, Greek tragedies, you heard of Greek tragedies? It's always big. Emotions are very big. And we give ourselves permission, Italians, Greeks, Spaniards, you know, Latin people, they give themselves more permission to express their emotions. And what happens when you express your emotions? You feel a certain aliveness, true? So numbing ourselves to our feelings that we judge is also numbing ourselves to our joy. So how do you get into the feelings that you judge? You voice them. You tell a friend. You know, again, in Greece, we don't have therapists. We have friends. We talk to them forever. Talk to your friends. How many people have felt this release when you have a safe place with a friend to say, this is what's going on. I'm not happy here. I'm not really happy in the relationship. When you find that a relationship isn't going, or you want more love, or you want more connection. And part of what happens in our culture is we isolate. We hide from each other. We feel ashamed of our own separation, of our own loneliness, of our own feelings that are not elevated. That's not good. And I tell you why that's not good, because that's part of what makes us human beings. So when we face the truth nature of what we are experiencing in the moment, we can release ourselves from it and go to another place that is calm, that is happy, and that is joyful. Am I making sense to all of you? Are you with me? You know, and where do we start with that? we start by saying to ourselves, I give you permission to be all of you. And it's like being there for ourselves no matter what's going on, not in just the good times. The most unhappiness happens is because we suffer from a self-abandonment. We know we abandon ourselves at the most critical moments of our lives. You know, everybody has gone through a breakup in a relationship where you suddenly feel, he doesn't love me, she doesn't love me, you know, there's a breakup. And at that moment, not only that person leaves, but then we leave ourselves. Because now we've judged ourselves, we've made ourselves feel less than, we feel love will never happen again. We do catastrophic thinking. So part of this whole book is I collected all this material and all these stories from everybody I learned out there, and I realized that we're all the same. It's extraordinary. We're all the same. We all have the same issues. It's just they look different. Like mine has the Greek version, for example. You know, and men, women, we all want more of the good things in life. And we are scared to show each other who we really are. We're scared to show our hearts. We're scared to reach out, to connect. Because, why do you think we're scared? Because we feel we're going to be rejected. Or because we feel people are going to see us and they're not going to really like us. And the human heart longs to be known, to be seen, to be shared, and to live in gratitude. Our human heart, the physical heart, beats 28.2 billion times in a lifetime. It beats. It's the same heart that's in Bridget, in Chris, in Nicole, in Agapi, I don't know all your names, in Bird, in Alexander. It's the same heart. It's the same beat. But we as humans separate. And we separate even from people we love. And we are afraid to reach out and connect with them and look in their eyes and say, I love you. And we are afraid to really bring that love back to ourselves because we feel it might go away. So how do you open the channels? Meditation, pausing, is one of the most amazing ways to open the channels. Kindness, caring, where you start to realize it's like a thought, a mindset. You start to look at people and you know they're not really much different than me. And that gives you permission to open up. And what is extraordinary I found in my life is that we are transparent. Have you ever been in a room and somebody walks in and you know exactly how they're feeling? You know if they're upset. You know if they're happy. You know if they are having a difficult moment. How do we know? Because our intelligence of our heart is way bigger than we give it credit. Our intelligence of who we are, if we gave ourselves a chance, if we gave ourselves permission, is way bigger than the intelligence of our brain. Now, getting to that, connecting with that, is magic. Magic. To miss that opportunity in your lifetime is such a shame. To miss the opportunity to connect with that intelligence, the intuition, your wisdom. So I want to encourage you all to start connecting with that part by actually writing down. You can just take a journal and say, the wisdom of my heart is now speaking to me. And open up the channels. It's more like you're giving it permission and you're going beyond the mind, the chatter of the mind, the to-do list, into the to-be list. And then you start to walk with your presence. You know, we all have a soul and a spirit, but we don't see it. We see the physical body. But you know, all the masters and all the mystics talk about the soul. To get to the soul, you have to invite it in, because the soul is sort of hanging somewhere in there. So I encourage you, as I said, to live a day as a thank you, to live a day, take a day, and just invite your soul in while you're in your computers, while you're doing your deadlines, while you are busy with everything. Just have soul awareness, spirit awareness. It comes right from your own breath, because the breath carries that spirit. That's why all meditations say go back to the breath. And that's what we're going to do now, because we have a little time. We're going to go back and connect with our own breath. So make yourself comfortable. Open your hands a little bit to receive. Shake your shoulders. Relax your feet. Relax your neck. And take a deep breath and exhale. And just take a deep breath. And this time, as you take a deep breath, imagine that this breath is filling your whole body, all over your head and down to your feet. We're going to play some very soft music. And I want to ask you right now, as you take a breath and you exhale, exhale your tensions, your worries. Exhale anything that's stopping you from being fully present in this moment. And focus on your heart. As you breathe in this time and you focus on your heart, soften your heart and bring in your awareness something or someone you love. And let your heart become so tender and open. This time, as you breathe in, allow your breath to slow down. To the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start to think good thoughts. Start to think wonderful, good thoughts about yourself. All the good things in your life. And just say thank you. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for my breath. Thank you for my health. Thank you for these work possibilities. Thank you for my aliveness. Thank you for my hands, my eyes that see, my ears that hear. And start to open up a space inside of you that begins to see with your inner eye. Start to fall back into yourself beyond the idea of who you are. Lives the being of who you truly are. Let that be shown to you. And as you receive your next breath, be in awe of your breath. Where is my breath coming from? How amazing it is to be breathed. It's the same breath that breathes all of us. And the best response is to just say thank you. And open your heart to yourself. Allow that inner light that we all know and sense to start to fill you up. A light that comes above your head, connects you to your heart, your emotional center, fills your body and your whole energy with this inner light. You might want to take your right hand and place it in your heart, just to connect with yourself. And you might want to take your left hand and place it in your belly. That's where the emotional center is of all our emotions. And start to feel how amazing it is to take deep breaths, slow breaths. And as you exhale, imagine that there are waves of calmness that turn into waves of joy. Start to be filled with sunbeams inside, like the sunbeam is warming and illuminating your consciousness. And this time, as you breathe in, look into yourself and tell yourself, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you have overcome. Thank you for your caring. Slowing down the breath is the greatest gift to give to ourselves, because then we become present and we give ourselves the signal that there is plenty of time. Time expands when we breathe fully into our capacity. Allow your thoughts to float by like clouds in the sky, nothing to do. Just opening your heart more deeply to yourself. $37.2 trillion cells are breathing you, making you happen. The life force in you is a miracle beyond ourselves. And the only response is thank you and gratitude. To the life force, to the miracle of life that is in you and each person you meet. Whenever you feel disconnected, remember this is a place to come right back to you, knowing that you're more than enough, that all is well in your world, And there is so many possibilities to love more, to have more joy, and to open up to the gift of our lives. Take a deep breath and let this breath fall now and fill you to capacity, and your own breath sending a wave of energy to your work, your co-workers, your family, your loved ones. Sending this energy, this presence, this calmness to the world that needs it. Like a canopy of calmness, see everything you touch from now on, this moment, embraced by this energy. It is available to you 24/7. Take it in. You can go to a deeper place inside of you. And very gently smile inside, like an inner smile, as if you know something that is the secret of your life. Smile inside and smile outside. And in this moment of peace that you've created here for yourself, place everything that feels more difficult or a struggle or you would like more of, place it in this energy of creativity, of possibility, of calmness and of peace. And in your creative imagination, start to see your day, your days, and your life the way you would like it to be. Charge it. Infuse it with good energy. And start to see more of the things you would like in your life. More of whatever you would like, start to see it and create it, remembering that you are a co-creator with that life force in you. Never alone. You can always return to that place that is breathing you, that is making your life happen right now. What a gift. And very gently, whenever you're ready, start to move your shoulders a little bit and your neck. And you can shake your hands and your feet And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and just take a deep breath and extend your arms, and with a sound like ah, as if you're just coming back to this life for a moment. And one more breath with a sound ah, and shake your shoulders and just smile. Did that feel much calmer? Did everybody felt so, looking so beautiful and calm? You would think that we were over at the Himalayas, actually. Everybody kind of was glowing. So, my friends, I just want to invite you to give yourself time to return to yourself in your busy day, while you're in the computer, while you have all your deadlines. Just to remember, never shut off your breath. Give yourself this conscious way of breathing. That in itself can change your life. Start thinking of all the thoughts of what you want to create rather than what you don't want. Start thinking, write it down. I want more of that, more of that. Is it material? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it mental? Is it spiritual? It doesn't matter. Make yourself into this precious, amazing gift of your life. Don't take it for granted. Remember my story on the plane. In an instant, in gratitude, your life is transformed. Look at people and acknowledge them for who they are. Appreciate them over and over again. Don't wait for special occasions, birthdays and Christmas and Easter and holidays. Every day is your precious life. As you read this book, the way I wrote it for 52 chapters is because you can open it at any chapter. You can take it and say, I just need a little help with something, and just open it, and there it is. Suddenly, you read the gift of intimacy. Well, who would have thought there's a gift in intimacy? So you open it, keep it by your bedside, make it like your companion, where you just want to get a little nugget, a little inspiration. I wrote this book out of my life's experiences, of what I learned in my life to overcome my own challenges, my own difficulties, my own stuckness, my own ideas that I was failing. I wrote it in a way to show that there is always an available new path for all of us. When I did the audio, I put 32 guided meditations. Why guided meditations? Because like I did before with all of you, when you're guided, your mind can stay a little more still till you learn to be so quiet inside and you listen to that inner voice that's always telling you, go there, don't go there, do this, don't do this, connect with so-and-so. It gives you signals. Like we talked before, you always are told of what's going on, but we must listen. We must listen to the intelligence of who we are, and not to just give over to the little monkey mind. Are you with me? Yes? Write down every night the things you did that made you happy. Your happiness matters. You matter. Write down the things that bring you joy, and find somebody to be your joy buddy. It's important to have a joy buddy to remind you to bring your joy. And say, what did you do for your joy today? And write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Gratitude, joy triggers, is a shift to having a better life. It's not going to happen. Having a happier life is not going to happen automatically. So I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes by Ian Thomas that says, every day, life will drag you by the hand and say, this is important, and this is important, and take care of this, and this is what matters. And it's up to you to take your hand back, put it in your heart, and say, no, this is important. So honor your heart. It knows, it speaks, and it has things to tell you. Listen to it. It's a really powerful intelligence we've been given. 37.2 trillion cells want to connect with you. You owe it to yourself to connect back to you and then with each other. Thank you. It has been an honor and a privilege to speak to this amazing Google team. I hear that Google employees are the happiest employees around, and I want to make sure that is so. So I wanted to contribute my own wisdom and my own happiness to bring you more joy in your life, because if we miss the joy, we've missed a lot. Don't miss the joy that's available to all of us. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.